to join and see. You can join.
All right. Good evening, members. This evening, we are happy to be hosting you, and my co-host will join us later, Diana. For now, it's only me, Ndolo, and just a word of precaution. Our president has announced some very critical issues to do with the disease, corona. It is our wish and prayer that everybody be safe and adhere to the rules and regulations set by the government, so that everyone with the public health is in order. Prevention is better than cure. That one we know. So let's try to prevent ourselves from getting this disease that takes time to show up in somebody's body, and we know our health system might not be up to standard. So it's only up to us to try to keep safe and prevent ourselves from getting the disease. So today's guest is engineer Christine OGUT. I will not introduce much about her. She will introduce herself. She will give us her background in engineering. She will then again give us what she has been doing, work experience. And then again, she goes ahead and give us maybe position that she's been holding at IEK. Then we will have some session of questions. And after that, we will be closing with a pitch and a call out for voters. With no much ado, I would welcome our guest, Engineer Christine. The floor is yours. Take us over and lead us to as far as you can. Maybe we will take 40 minutes, maybe we'll take another 1 hour. Engineer?
Thank you very much. Good evening, engineers. First of all, let me thank you for this opportunity, for this interview. I am Engineer Christine Adongo OGUT. I have a master's degree in urban infrastructure engineering management from IEK Delft in Netherlands. And when I was pursuing my master's degree, which really was based on municipal engineering services, I was honored by being awarded a Professor Will Segeron Fellowship. And this fellowship is awarded to a student who has performed very well. I was the best all-round student in the year 2003 at IEK. I also have a Bachelor of Science degree, upper second class honors from the University of Nairobi, where I graduated in 1990. I am a result-oriented, enthusiastic professional engineer with over 28 years of experience in the road sector. Currently, I work at the National Transport and Safety Authority as a Deputy Director, Safety Audits and Inspections. And particularly, what do? I audit road infrastructure to ensure that our roads are safe for all road users, all road user groups. I also, in the event that there is a fatal accident on our roads, I also go visit the scenes of the accidents and try and understand what was the cause of the accident, what measures can we put in place from an engineering perspective to ensure that in the event a similar accident occurs, the severities are reduced and the number of fatalities are reduced. So I make contributions to the engineering sector from that perspective for the road safety, so that our engineers then design for safer roads. Before I joined the National Transport and Safety Authority, I also had a small opportunity to again lecture at Technical University, the one based in Nairobi. And during that time, I taught students taking BTech. I taught them transport economics. I taught them pavement design, geometric design. And beyond that, I used to be a chief officer, environment and energy and water at Nairobi City County Government, where during that 1 year, I managed to secure funding from C40, $1 million US for training of staff on technical issues. And again, I can remember that as a chief officer, I served as a director at the water company. And again, we had some unrest at the water company, but again, using my negotiation skills, I was able to ensure that staff at the water company were able to go back to work. The other thing which I did at the county government is using again my problem-solving skills and analytical skills, were able to increase the daily waste coverage collection from 50% to 80%. Now, as the chief officer for roads, public works, and transport, that was 2013 to 2016, I worked in partnership with KPLC. And again, during that time, one of my main achievements was the installation of more than 25,000 LED lights and 6,000 high masts. And this ensured that the city was better lit. Those who were able to increase the hours of doing businesses did so. The other thing I've done at the county government is that I pioneered what we call the Ward Development Fund projects. We had a budget of around 2 billion, and we ensured that in every ward, there was some project implemented under the Ward Development Fund. We formulated the NMT policy for Nairobi, and again, that is under implementation, where we actually said that 20% of the funds for road infrastructure were to be invested in NMT facilities, considering that considering that around 48% of Nairobians actually walk. I also worked as a manager in Kenya Urban Roads Authority. That was in between 2011 to 2013. And I was instrumental as the project implementation team leader for New Trip. New Trip was the National Urban Transport Infrastructure Project. And during my time, the project, there is a bypass in Meru that has been constructed. During my time, that is when the project started. And we were the first project implementation team to actually use the New Trip funds. What else have I done? I've been the first president of the Africa TechNet under United UCLG Africa. This is a group that looks at local governments in the continent, and we covered 44 countries. And during that session, I ensured that technical officers from Kenya, from other countries benefited from training opportunities. I also was a resource person during conferences organized by UCLG Africa. I've also been a past city engineer, acting city engineer for Nairobi City Council. And during my tenure, we had a motto where we looked at a portless CBD. And you can remember the days of the late John Gakuo, where the roads were well done. So during my tenure, the projects that were constructed, like the missing link on the Odume Road, we had Manyanja Road, several roads in the city were actually done during that time. Of course, you'd be interested to know, as an engineer, what did I do in City Hall? I mentored more than 10 engineers from City Council, from being graduate engineers to PEs, and I was coming from a background of where I was in one job group for 12 years, and simply because I was not well mentored or guided, and I felt that once I went through the professional exam, it was easy then to assist other engineers undertake the professional exams. So I've also been a board member at the Public Procurement Administrative Review Board. So in a nutshell, that is when I look at in terms of leadership where I've been. So I'm committed to deliver to the highest standard of performance using my good leadership skills, communication and interpersonal skills. What are my values? My values are honesty, integrity, teamwork, being open, and I have enjoyed working for IEK as an ordinary council member. Now, when you look at my poster, I have made 5 promises to deliver, which are to champion the engineers' rights, to promote engineers' interests, raising engineers' standing and visibility, facilitating engineers' expertise in decision-making, promoting local content, advocating for engineers' relevance, and empowering engineers. So I also gave my input into the development of the strategic plan. So most members will be interested in that. What has engineer been doing at IEK? One of the things I did was to promote the issue of transparency. You realize that now most of the IEK Council resolutions are communicated to members through emails. When we have appointments for boards, the requests are sent again through the honorary secretary. They're sent to members so the members can then put in their applications, and they are considered, and their names are then forwarded to the relevant government institution. We've been building strong working relationships with other stakeholders. I have continued mentoring engineers. Actually started the issue of mentoring engineers after I passed my professional examination in 2002. That is when I embarked on the issue of mentoring engineers. So I also gave my input in the development of the strategic plan. I am now better equipped to build a reputable, effective, and efficient IEK, and that is why I have taken this bold decision to be the voice of the engineers. I give myself for your service. My candidature. I am a professional engineer in good standing, vying for the position of ordinary council member, and I have identified 7 key areas that are aligned to the current strategic plan and will be implemented through capacity building and mentoring committees, conference committees, welfare, and development committees. So the 7 areas which I have identified, again, I will repeat them. Championing engineers' rights, promoting engineers' interests, raising engineering standards and visibility, facilitating engineers' expertise in decision-making, promoting local content, advocating for engineers' relevance, and empowering the engineers. And these are covered under the 5 pillars in the strategic plan, which are growth, relevance, expertise, revenue growth, governance, and institutional strengthening. I promise to champion the rights of engineers, to promote engineers' interests, raise their visibility, empower engineers. This makes me a suitable candidate for this position. I am an achiever. I have proven record, and I feel that the GEs who really need my service will be easily accessible at the level I am vying for. And secondly, I am a team builder. I emphasize with the GEs and want to assure them that IEK has their interests at heart. My work at IEK is guided by the duties and responsibilities of the ordinary council members, which are to manage properties and affairs of IEK in accordance with the Constitution and the bylaws. We have delegated powers to act on behalf of the executive through committees. And of course, you'd want to know which committees I sat on. I was the vice chair of the Welfare and Development Committee. I was the vice chair of the Women's Chapter. I sat as a member on the ADR Committee. I also was a member of the Eminent Engineers Forum, and I was a member of the Mentorship and Capacity Building. So under those committees, what would I do? We would provide advice in committees on matters concerning engineering. I plan to influence the executive committee to direct that each PE should target to mentor 2 GEs to PEs. What am I saying? Now, when we look at the growth in the number of professional engineers, we find that in the strategic plan, we are targeting at least 4,000, so that in a span of 5 years, we should have at least 20,000 PEs. So one way to do that is actually for the professional engineers who currently are about 2,792 to actually adopt 2 graduate engineers. If we do that, and in that adoption, I'm looking at areas like them getting CPD points for their efforts in growing the memberships. What have some of my achievements been? I've mentored girl child in career talks in more than 6 schools. I've been to Buruburu Girls, I've gone to Koru Girls, Limuru Girls, Gwasi Girls. During the Engineers Conference, we mentored more than 300 girls at the Women Engineers Summit. I have also been involved in a mentoring program called Volunteer as Speaker program run by the US Embassy, where every year I actually go on that program to talk. I volunteer to actually talk to 100+ university students. I have made technical presentations at IEK conferences and international conferences and other public forums, imparting knowledge to engineers. I have represented IEK in international conferences, and using that knowledge acquired, especially like the last one we went to Australia, I am able to undertake road safety audits more effectively. I am on the civil engineering interview panelist, and again, using my experience, I've been able now to mentor, to actually teach, mentor and guide more engineers on how to prepare for the position of PEs. Now, one of the areas that the engineers were concerned about is the issue of the CPD points. During, again, my term as a council member, I prepared a paper which I will be sharing on Telegram, and identified 10 barriers to implementing CPD which need to be addressed. Some of those barriers look at what is the role of an employer in supporting CPD activities. When you look at the EBK law, and remember, one of the issues I've spoken about is that there are laws that are not supporting the practices of an engineer. So you find that if you look at the EBK law, what is it looking at? It is going to penalize engineers who may not attain the CPD points. What are the reasons why the engineer may not attain the CPD points? There is the issue of the cost. There is the issue of the quality of the training, the logistical issues. Most of the CPD trainings are in Nairobi, meaning that if you're an engineer from, let's say, Northeastern or from Kisumu, and in the worst scenario, if you're not working, then you may not even be able to have opportunity to go for those CPD courses. So as I have said that I will be sharing with members that paper on Telegram. So we have looked at the issue of the CPD points. So what else have I done? I talked about my contribution in the strategic plan. If I can remember, the strategic plan was tabled before the council members, and we gave our comments. I have also assisted more than 300 Gs transition to Ps. I've been resource persons at PIPs for the last 10 years. Now, we talk about the ADR committee. What have we achieved on the ADR committee? To the best of my knowledge, one, we have an ADR charter, which again, I would like to share with members, the ADR charter that looks at how we address disputes among engineers, engineers and other stakeholders, how our members are supposed to bring forward their disputes. We also, on the ADR charter, we have a list of, we have identified who are ADR, what will I say, members, no, panelists who sit on the ADR committees for what is this, for dispute resolution. We have 88 engineers in good standing, and one of our recommendations was that this information needs to be made available to our engineers so that at any one point when you have a dispute resolution, you can actually choose from that list of engineers who should be able to represent your needs. And I also remember that the national ADR policy meeting, where again, as a committee, our vice chair was able to forward our inputs into the policy. I have trained and developed 821 graduate engineers in this last two-year term. But remember, the PIPs, I started encouraging engineers to become professional engineers from the year 2004. Now, this is my personal declaration of my good intentions and motives to engineers and our other stakeholders whom we serve. It is my inspiration and commitment to the engineers, IEK, EBK, and other stakeholders that I will be loyal, listen and respect individual views, and give transformative leadership as required. What is my vision? My vision is to promote and advance the development of a greater and glorious engineering profession in Kenya and beyond. This builds into the IEK vision of engineering a sustainable world. A great and glorious engineer is one whose decisions are respected by society, have positive impact on society, who are well remunerated, and you can look at all my points on the flyer. In this regard, I will champion the right of the engineers by protecting them against discrimination and ethical practices, ensure that marginalized groups are considered in the profession. A good group that we have not looked at as engineers are people with disabilities. It is something the Welfare Committee is working on, and I'm hoping that given another term to serve, we will be able to look at that area. I will fight to ensure equal opportunities and inclusion. I will promote engineers' interests by supporting legislation advocating engineers' interests. Let us take a good example, the county government acts. When they're recruiting engineers, do they give professionals the place they deserve? We have positions of chief officers in technical engineering fields where whoever is being given that position, and that is a position where that specific officer should be advising the governor. But you find that the person given that position is not an engineer. And I ask myself, what advice is that non-engineer giving the governor? So from that perspective, I really think that we need to engage county governments. We need to engage EBK. And why am I saying we need to engage EBK? When you give somebody who is not a professional engineer responsibility he or she cannot handle, what are you saying? You're saying that engineering issues will never really be addressed competently. So that is why I'm saying that let us even look at legislation, let us look at the areas where there are gaps so that we provide better engineering services. There is the issue of the membership fee structure. What am I advocating for? We need to restructure. We need to look and say, if this is a graduate engineer and they are not employed, where are we expecting them to get the money from? Government should be able actually to give subsidy in such cases. There is the issue of the benevolent fund advocacy. And I'm just thinking that at the beginning of the year, when we are paying our annual subscription fees, if we tailor make and say that in January, you can pay this amount towards the benevolent fund, in maybe in the next quarter, this amount, that amount, then whatever amount we would want to pay towards the benevolent fund then becomes affordable. I'm also looking at the issue of breaching the gap between IEK and EBK. I am aware that yes, there are council members who sit on EBK. Then the big question we'll be asking is that why are our members out there not really happy with the EBK Act? And what I'm saying, EBK Act, yes, it is 2011, but it has reached a point where we actually need to sit and amend that act so that it meets the interests of our engineers. I will raise the engineering standard and visibility by creating opportunities and build confidence in the public in engineers. I will create a panel of experts to discuss topical engineering issues and advise government and public appropriately. Let us look at the case a building has collapsed. Engineers deal with facts, with realities. So we need that panel to immediately move to them where the building has collapsed and identify what are the issues and quickly come out with a report that can be used to make informed decisions. So vis-a-vis having just a single person going to what is this, to the scene, it is better when you have a panel of experts who then look at look at issues from different, what is this, perspectives. Another area which I am pushing for is we must advocate for local content. Local content, we are looking at 40%, but I want to believe it should grow from 40% to 50% and beyond. And why am I saying that?
Engineer,
yes?
Can you define,
can you hear me?
Can you define what is local content? Does it mean, what does 40% local content mean?
For me, I'm looking at jobs, Kenyan jobs for Kenyan engineers. What am I saying? I'm saying that for all the infrastructure projects, whether it is the job opportunities, let 40% go to the engineers. In terms of income, yes, I know on most of these foreign funded projects, you'll find that most of the money goes back to the foreign countries. But that should not be happening, so that we are saying that even the materials that are being used in those projects, 40% of those materials should be locally bought from Kenya and not outsourced from outside. So in terms of jobs, yes?
Engineer, do you know that there are countries in Africa whereby there are jobs that are specifically, there's nothing like 40%, it is 100% local content. There are in countries where you can never find a Chinese working and doing pavements in the streets. Those are things that can be done by a Kenyan engineer, unless it is a specialized, really specialized engineering duty. So what guarantee is there that we will be able at least even to have 40% on the very specialized engineering area and have the 100% for the local engineers and technologists?
What we are pushing for is that, first of all, we need a database of all our engineers, and specifically for those areas we are referring to as specialized areas, so that before that work is given to a specialized engineer from out there, we have looked at our database and we have said that indeed we don't have that specialization. And in the event that that work is given to a specialized engineer from out there, then for that period that engineer is working in Kenya, he must have other professional engineers attached to him so that they can learn, they can do on-job training from that engineer, and moving forward, we will develop capacity in that specific area that is specialized. Now, let us look at the big projects that have been implemented in this country. Let us take a good example, the Thika Superhighway. The project was implemented. We had engineers, we had artisans, name it, we had a whole lot of different groups working on that project. So when the project ended, what has happened to those engineers? How have they imparted that knowledge they got on that project to other engineers? And that is why, for me, I'm looking and saying, let us have this policy of adopt a GE or 2 GEs, so that whatever knowledge we learn from other projects, from other professionals from other countries, then we can actually use that information to build capacity, knowledge sharing.
Thank you. Engineer, in your very own words, I tend to pick an idea that we don't have data at the moment. What happened to
We
say
have that.
we have data?
We have data. It is how we are using the data.
Where is
that
the
makes
data?
A difference.
Can the public access the data easily from the website, for example?
Can the public access the data from the website? The website, as it's structured, is only for members. The public may not be able to easily access that data. And I think that is one of the areas then IEK needs to work on. How do we relate this data to members of the public? And remember, I spoke about panels of experts, so that we are saying that IEK should be out there championing and telling Kenyans that we have these professionals who are able to offer you this kind of service.
Yeah, that one is understandable. But you see, many people will either go to the fundi in the mtaa, thinking that they are the engineers in the country. Yet, IEK should be able to have data. And it is very unfortunate that even today, I myself logged in Engineers Board of Kenya website and went to check my data. And in the data, in the My Bio data, my status is written inactive. Yet I am a fully paid member in EBK. So I can imagine if the professional society is not having a well-functioning website, the website in IEK that is there now currently, I have not seen the one that was launched. The one that is there, if you go to it and click on the message from the chair, the president, who is the president in that message notice? It is the previous 2016 of Engineer Okonje. The current president, the incumbent, is Engineer Collins Juma. The website is not working. That one, I'm sorry, with all due respect, IEK is letting us down in information sharing. And the data, do we have the data for all engineering at IEBK, or rather, Institute of Engineers of Kenya? I doubt.
We have data.
The reason that's why I'm engineer, yes, we have data, but the data is partial, it's not full data. Because Engineer Matalanga shared with us the numbers of engineers at IEK. And we found there was, he only gave us what? Associates, graduates, PE, and the fellow members. We don't have data for, say,
he didn't give you
members. It was there. Associates, members, which is corporate, fellow, and graduates. So in essence, I'm looking at it, the constitution allows members like craft, technicians, technologists still in the list, in the register, and we should also have a register for emeritus, the retired engineers who are supposed to be imparting their knowledge to the young ones, the younger generation, because they have earned the knowledge and they have it and the skills. But unfortunately, the data is partial, it's not full. How are you going to tackle this idea of data being partial, not fully out for members to see? And is the new website working, for example?
The new website is working, and picking from what you have said, what we will do as IEK is actually to send out a sheet that asks the engineers to actually update their data. And based on that, and through the office of the CEO, we should be able actually to update that. We also need to have data of the retired engineers. The retired engineers, depending on whether they're corporate members, whether they're fellows, or whether they are consulting engineers, their names are there, but we have not clearly differentiated that those are retired engineers. So that is something moving forward we need to work on as IEK.
So you can guarantee us when you're elected in that position, you'll be able to
To work on that.
To work
yes,
on that.
It is.
Now, how much can you give us is the website working, the new website?
The new website is working. I wish you were able to visit it and
but
project it.
Engineer, how can we visit it if we don't have the link sent to us? It has not been sent anywhere. I've been asking for it yesterday on Telegram. Nobody has shared with members. Members are actually asking. I'm reading the chats they're sending me. Where is the website, the link to the new website? Is it ready? Secondly, how can we access the new website that is connected to the link? Is the website link there? We haven't seen it. How much was the website prepared for? What was the amount used for that? How much did it cost? Another one. So in essence, the question is really tight. Is the new website working? Can we get the link? Where is it? And how much was used, members' money was used to make the website? Or rather to revamp the website?
Thank you very much for those questions. Yes, the website was launched, and I'm hoping that the Honorary Treasurer, Engineer Fanwell, will be able to come on webinar to answer those questions.
All right, that is regarding the amount that was used for webinar as a treasurer.
Yes.
But can we get the new link for you were there during the launch?
I will ensure that the new link is posted on Telegram shortly. I will ensure that.
So that, can we have a timeline?
Yes, in the next 1 hour, the link should be posted on Telegram.
Somebody is asking, when was the new website launched?
Today is Sunday.
Today is 15th.
The new website. Yeah, today is Sunday 15th. I need to work backwards.
I can help you. It was launched on the 12th when Engineer Raila Odinga was in the meeting. During
yes,
the
on 12th, which was on Wednesday.
During the scorecard.
Yes.
All right. Members, do you have any question? Unmute your mic and ask questions. Engineer Cedric. Somebody is asking this question. With the new website in place, how is the council prepared to handle data? I think the data that is going to be given, and how safe is the data going to be? The personal security, personal data information security. How are we going to ensure that data is really kept safe? Because I remember there was a scenario whereby somebody last election, engineer, I think Okanji, was saying he got messages from people looking for votes. And how did the members get the contacts of a particular member? How did they get the telephone number to send SMSs to a particular member? How safe is the data? So with the new website, how are you going to handle the data security?
There is a law that governs the protection of data, confidentiality of data, and I want to believe that our IT expert has taken care of that to ensure that members' data is confidential. When it comes to how members get other members' contacts, my experience has been that one, based on the networks. For example, I talk to fellow engineers, and they are my ambassadors. They are requesting for votes on my behalf, and I sit with them and I ask them that who of the engineers, because I may not have known all the engineers. So who of the engineers are on your contact and how can I talk to them? And on the basis of using networks from other engineers, then you're able to reach other engineers. Now, members are also on Telegram, they are also on WhatsApp, and we are able to share information.
All right, because it's very important, because the guy is, there's another question somebody has sent in the chat here, that somebody has sent him an email with that particular reason for him to vote. And he is wondering how did the person even get his email address. So it is something
what happens is,
yes.
Let me just answer on that one. At times, IEK in the past used to send bulk emails to all the members. So for example, if this opportunity is available, then a bulk email is sent. On the basis of that, once you receive that email, you're actually able to access other members' emails, and you're able to send requests to other members.
Does it mean that the person that is dispatching the emails is not taught on how to use the email properly? Because there is normal open copy, CC, and then there is blind CC that other members are not seeing.
I will have that concern addressed by whoever is dispatching the emails moving forward.
Yes, because
I would want to apologize to that member that he was contacted by somebody who he does not know, who is vying for a specific position, and I apologize on behalf of IEK.
All right, please take it with a very concerned, because the person people are really concerned about data security. Engineer Cedric Obonyo.
Pleasure. Thank you so much, Dolo. How are you, Engineer OGUT?
And thank you, Cedric.
My question is,
yes.
My question is, with your working at NTSA, you know the engineering plays a major role in terms of safety of, for example, the infrastructure projects we have in the country. So how are you going to integrate the operations of IEK and engineers working in the country? NTSA is also operational, because there's a very big gap where I've seen NTSA is not so keen in seeking the advisory opinion of engineers and IEK with regard to some of the things that they do. Yet we are the ones who design those roads and do those roads. For example, when you go to do a road test in NTSA right now, the people to going for the licensing is outdated against what we are designing. I'm saying,
yes.
For example,
yes,
if you go to NTSA right now, the test that administering to drivers is outdated against what we are dealing with roads, for example. So how are you going to create that connection between the safety authority, what they are going to train about safety, versus what engineers are actually now building and developing now?
Thank you very much for that question.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you very much for that question. Indeed, I am the first engineer employed, and the first thing I did was come up with a structure for my department, which is to assist audits and inspections, and we have opportunities for engineers to actually come, civil engineers to come and work in NTSA. All I'm waiting for is we've gotten SCAC approval, and all I'm waiting for is approval from the PS to advertise for the jobs. Now, in terms of the relationship between NTSA and the engineers, we have what we are calling safe designs, the safe systems approach for design of roads for all road safety users. And I also head the department that audits the roads to ensure that they are safe, all the road users. And what I have done is that I have been working closely with KURA, KERA, and the county governments. And what is this? The county governments to train road safety auditors. To date, I have trained around 50 50 auditors who are engineers. I am a trained road safety auditor, trainee of trainees. And what we do, we actually visit the roads, identify what are the issues, make recommendations to the road safety entities so that they can then implement the same. Now, in terms of the engineers, what am I doing? I'm actually organizing for a 3-day training workshop in liaison with NTSA, what is this, Kenya Roads Board, IEK, to ensure that issues of road safety from a design perspective are actually demonstrated to the engineers and what is expected to them. I'm also looking at the review of the road safety audit manual, and as we speak, the country doesn't have an operationalized road safety audit manual. I am working on that. I am working in collaboration with the road agencies and IEK to ensure that issues of safe designs for all road users are incorporated in what the engineers are doing in terms from the design through the project cycle, through what is this, through construction and maintenance. And I remember that last year during the engineers conference, I actually made a presentation on road safety audits and shared knowledge with I think 1,200 engineers on issues of safety from a road safety engineering perspective, and how to embed measures that then will mitigate against traffic crashes, and in the event that they actually occur, the consequences are minimized or reduced.
All right.
So that's what I'm doing.
Engineer, you mentioned something to do with the training that you're organizing. Will this be open to all engineers?
As a starter, please remember that coronavirus is around, so I'm also limiting the number. But I am opening it to around 70 engineers, and especially those who are really dealing with the and in this specific case, I'll tell you what I've done. I've gotten sponsorship, so the only cost the engineers are going to be able to take care of is really the cost of the accommodation and transport to the venue. But the rest, the venue, that one is taken care of. I've gotten a sponsor.
You will share with us the data fully, but can we say that, give us, you say 70, can we have 30 there as Gs?
Why not?
Can you specify that the 30 is going to be Gs?
I can do 30 Gs.
Thank you.
And what I've been thinking, that again, through IEK, I can also get a sponsor to actually even train more than these 30 engineers. And maybe I should be working on a road safety audit open day, just a one-day forum where I will be championing the rights of the engineers. And remember, road safety audits is a specialized area.
All right.
And hence, the idea of having at least 30 new GEs being introduced to road safety champions the rights of the GEs.
Thank you for that. Now I will let you take a breather for 3 minutes. You drink some water and check your internet connection a bit. And when you come back, I will give the chances to Nancy Abira, followed by Cedric.
I'm not finished my second.
Wait. Let engineer take a breather. When we come back after 3 minutes. We take a breather. We come back. Engineer will, Nancy Abira will ask a question. Cedric and then Abdi, in that order. There are 3 people with their hands raised up. So we can give engineer some time to take some water, and then she come back. That's okay.
Cedric? Hello?
Yeah, it's okay. I agree. No problem. I agree. It's okay.
So exactly after 3 minutes, come back,
I
please.
agree.
Okay, thank you. After 3 minutes,
Okay, thank you.
I'll be back. Thank you.